Today, they play Indianapolis tomorrow. And as I'm telling you that, let me remind you that the Warriors are on this East Coast trip, and it does continue tonight in Philly. It's also Super Bowl week. So Willard and Dibbs, they're not going to be taking any days off. Warriors Live and Warrior Games will both be on the radio, 95.7, while Willard and Dibbs continue live on the Odyssey app and our YouTube channel. That's today and tomorrow this week. So Willard and Dibbs on the Twitch and YouTube, and Warrior Basketball on 95.7 The Game. The trade deadline is less than 24 hours away. Steve Kerr was on with Willard and Dibbs.
Good interview.
Hey, how desperate are you to make a deal, or are you, Steve?
Well, be careful what you read. I mean, it's I can tell you there's been no desperation on our part whatsoever. Mike is doing his job. You know, he's staying in touch with everybody from around the league. So, you know, there's plenty of conversations, but there's zero desperation, I can tell you that.
How's that make you feel, Gu? No desperation.
And they asked him, too, because there was a couple articles out there saying that the Warriors were one of, I think it was a couple other teams that were desperate. Steiny, I just feel like they're going to go to battle with what they have and see where that takes them. I don't see anything out there that, just from my view, that would change the course of this season for the Golden State Warriors as far as superseding getting Gary Payton II back, Chris Paul, and Moody. Then you talk about minute allocation or distribution. Okay, that could Kerr told Willard and Dibbs, that can be a good thing. I just don't expect anything. Not that I don't want it, Sonny, but there's nobody that comes to mind to where you could tell, hey, Gu, they got a chance. I saw something, Klay Thompson to Chicago for DeRozan and the money work, DeRozan and Caruso.
What about Wiggins to either Dallas or Milwaukee?
What would you get in return?
Supposedly maybe a guy like Grant Williams from Dallas or Bobby Portis from Milwaukee?
No, that's intriguing. I know Grant Williams, we were talking to Evan yesterday, he ain't having the best season in Dallas, but I'll take Bobby Portis on my team any day, Steiny.
Ahead of Andrew Wiggins?
You know what? The way Kuminga's playing right now, I might talk about that.
888-957-9570 is the number. Steiny Guru with you. Here's Evan brought this up. This is very interesting to me. I want to take you through this. It's a little timeline about the last month or so. Okay. On January 7th, 1 month ago, this to me is pretty fascinating. On January 7th, a month ago, the Warriors were at home and they lost to the Toronto Raptors. I was at that game. Remember? They got booed.
It was nasty.
The Warriors got booed off the floor.
I was in North Carolina.
Okay. Their next home game was January 10th.
Pelicans.
They got booed off the floor.
Gotcha.
Booed off the floor. At that point, there was a report that came out after the Pelicans game that everybody on the Warrior roster is available and on the table except Steph Curry.
Okay.
So you get booed off your court twice in a row, and there's a report that everyone's available. Since that point, you're 5-5. You're 5-5. 10 games ago, this is what Steve Kerr said.
Well, be careful what you read. I mean, it's I can tell you there's been no desperation on our part whatsoever. Mike is doing his job. You know, he's staying in touch with everybody from around the league. So, you know, there's plenty of conversations, but there's zero desperation, I can tell you that.
That was yesterday.
Yeah.
So there was a report saying the Warriors are one of two desperate teams to make a move.
Okay, so what do you believe? Do you believe everybody was available on the roster after they got booed off the floor a month ago, but now there is no desperation? And Wiggins hopefully plays tonight against Philly, and Draymond's got a contusion. He's going to probably be a game-time decision. We'll see.
I believe
what happened?
Yeah.
So 5-5. They're 5-5 since then.
Yeah, gotcha, Steiny. I just believe.
Where are we?
Yeah,
888-957-9570.
I'm stepping all over.
Go ahead.
I just believe the latter. I believe that may have been true, but now they're like, you know what? Kuminga's taking off. So let's be honest. During that time, we didn't know if Kuminga was going to be a part. It would have been a hard decision, but now he's just untouchable to me, Steiny. And Wiggins, I heard these words come out of Coach Kerr's mouth to Willard and Dibbs that he's been playing better of late. And I'm under the impression they're going to not run it back, finish the rest of the season as is, get some guys back, some reinforcements, and see what's going on. And this is the crazy part about the Golden State Warriors. Since Draymond's come back, Steiny, I see something that I tangibly cannot explain to you or any basketball fan that's going to help them if they can get to the playoffs. Like, I see Draymond making the game easier on Steph that I argued you about all the time. I felt like Wiggins and Kuminga were able to coexist because of what Dre was doing. And I'm not saying it's perfect, but I see something to where I'm like, well, damn. By April,
okay,
I don't know who might want to see this team with a Steph Curry, and a Jonathan Kuminga playing the way he is, and Podziemski chipping in, and I just.
But this is where so you're one day.
Sounds crazy.
You're one day before the trade deadline. So you think
something's
they're going
happening.
to play it out?
Yeah.
No, you think nothing's happening.
Oh no, I would say go ahead, yeah.
So they're not going to make a move.
Right.
Okay.
But I feel the team's playing better, but the results are not backing me up.
Okay, so let's say you're Mike Dunleavy and you're like, you know what? You feel the same way you do. I don't like what's out there. We are starting to play better. Okay. So, Mike, you're Mike Dunleavy. Yeah. I'll meet you halfway. So when you say you're starting to feel better, maybe come April what's the best case scenario then with this team?
What you did last year, losing the second round, or obviously you would want to go further to the conference finals, but is
that possible? Can you get to the conference finals this year?
Right now, that's a stretch, but I'm saying the conference semis.
Because I'm not like,
that's where I'm at right now.
Here's all I'm saying. Like, I get it. We can play it out. Yeah. But the Golden State Warriors last year, they won 44 games, and they made it to the second round.
Yep. Lost at 6.
I don't think they're going to get that far this year. But, okay, maybe there's no deal that makes them better. Okay. So I'm Mike Dunleavy, and I'm saying, well, there's really nothing to do. Because I don't like any of the deals right now. We got some injuries. We must come to, we got to wait for guys to get healthy, and then we play out the rest of the season. Even if that's your strategy.
What if you say bye to Klay?
Even if that's your strategy. No, if that's your strategy, then I'm going to say, okay, what's your plan if that's what you do and you don't make the playoffs? Then what's your plan if that's what you do and you do make the playoffs and you get to the Western Conference Finals? Like, you don't just, I'm sorry, Mike Dunleavy, but you don't just get to think one move ahead. What I'm asking you is, if you don't like any of the deals out there, and you've got to, the only thing left to do is have this team come together, play together, and see what we can do over the last 35 games of the year. Okay, that's what we'll do. So what are you prepared to do if it works, if it doesn't work, or if it's somewhere in the middle? Like, you can't just do one and say, well, we'll worry about what happens once we do it or don't do it. Because what I'm saying is, if Mike Dunleavy says we really don't have much to do here except let everybody try to come together. Okay, let's say everybody comes together. Yeah. And you go,
you're hours away from a day from that.
Right, but let's say you don't make a move. And then the Warriors start to win a little bit. And next thing you know, they go 43-39. And then they do win a round. And then they play the Lakers again, and maybe they upset the Lakers. And they find themselves in the Western Conference Finals. Well, then what do?
Well, at that point,
but you have to, a GM thinks of everything. They don't just say, well, let's do this, and in 6 months we'll see how it worked out.
But right now, today, Steiny, if that were the scenario and you got that far, well, hell, a lot has changed since this conversation. The fact that the Warriors got that far, that would be further than last year, and I guess the siren wouldn't be blinking red as bright if
you're going to re-sign Klay then?
No, that's where it all starts. That's up to Mike. And right now, I'm pro Klay Thompson in the sense that, Steiny, I hate to say this, I feel like him somewhere else will do his career better. That's just me. But if he catches fire, and Kerr is telling you, Steiny, if he does, it's almost a tryout every game for Klay. And I know he probably doesn't like that. My thing is, if you get that far to the Western Conference Finals, it's all about what are we talking about? Two things. Bye-bye to Chris Paul possibly because you ain't and then bye-bye to Klay Thompson because this is your time by tomorrow at 3 p.m. to make a trade if you feel strongly about, you know what, that was just the dog and pony show, us making it to the second round. There was really nothing there. So I don't know.
My question is, if I'm taking these two things at face value, a month ago, everybody was available for the Warriors except Steph Curry, according to a report. And yesterday I'm hearing the Warriors are absolutely, positively not desperate. And if anything, they're less likely to make a move than make a move. So do we not believe each of those things, or did something change?
I'll tell you this. You're asking me.
And if something changed, I guess my question is what? You went 5-5? All right.
Or they're feeling like me, and you're going to call me crazy, Steiny, because actions speak louder than words. I've never heard Coach Kern, he's not going to tell Willard and Dibbs everything, but I never once heard him say, yeah, everybody's everybody's available but Klay.
No, but Shams Charania reported
it. Gotcha. But my thing is, what I just explained to you about this Warrior team, and I guess the word I'm looking for is potential, Steiny, and yeah, I can't give you better than 5-5. That's telling me Mike, Joe, and Coach Kerr believe if they keep at it, they could be a problem. If they obviously you get past the play-in, that's what they're going with. Yeah. And after that, I all I can think about, Steiny, is Chris Paul won't be here, and maybe Klay Thompson. Because what card do you really have in your deck if you're Mike Dunleavy after this season? Do you think people are going to be, hey, we're looking at Andrew Wiggins more so now than we did at the deadline, which was just a few months ago.
Exactly. And that's kind of where I've been for a while. It's like I'm not really interested in watching Wiggins play the second half of the season this year and have him play 1 out of every 3 games fairly well, and for 50% of Warrior fans to try to convince those who know better that he's the same player he was. And you know, that's the other thing with Klay. I mean, I don't know who you're describing anymore as a player when you talk about, well, Klay can catch fire. Klay, no, he hasn't. That's not who he is anymore. Like, Klay is actively hurting the Golden State Warriors. He's hurting them.
Okay.
Like when I look
let's be fair.
On most nights, he's hurt. Like if Klay Thompson, you can't win with him right now. You cannot win with Klay Thompson playing the way he's playing.
And he probably would tell you that. But when you compare him to old Klay, it's always going to be an L.
That's right. But you're comparing him to old Klay because you still, not you, but people still think of this team as championship possibilities. Well, if you're viewing it as a championship, that's when you got to get laughed at. Because I get Klay Thompson was a champion, but guess what? Good players don't win titles. You got to be great players. Marcus Thompson, that story that you referenced in The Athletic, he said, he was talking about Klay Thompson, and Marcus Thompson said, a plus player, meaning Klay Thompson, a plus player exists in there, meaning Klay Thompson, the way he's playing right now, he's not playing well, but Marcus Thompson wrote, a plus player exists in there. Do you believe that? Do you believe a plus player exists with Klay Thompson anymore?
I don't. My last name is not Simpson, and I'm not being a homer.
Okay, then what does it look like?
Him changing is him accepting the role of maybe you're not even starting, and more importantly, what did you say, Steiny? It's all about finishing. So that's that. But there's a video circulating last night that I saw actually in real time, and we really hadn't talked about it. I think it was a game on December 13th home. Klay was out the game. He didn't finish, Steiny, and he was on one on the sideline. Curry came up to him. So that's my only issue with Klay.